tournament coming to an end this week. The pairing that you have, could you have expected anything better than that? I mean, is this the ultimate kind of final pairing that you could have hoped for?
I mean, listen, this fight was one of my favorite fights of all time, the first one, and really it was probably one of the greatest fights I've ever seen in person, back and forth, and really tested the spirit of Rory McDonald and Douglas Lima. I think Douglas made a tactical error because if he would have just got up and not followed him to the ground, I think that he would have made Rory get up and it would have been maybe a whole different ending. But it was very close, and it was something that really, like I said, tested the character, the dominant spirit, and the perseverance of Rory and both those guys. So I'm proud of both of them, man. It's been a year-long, grueling tournament, and now we have an ending. They both get paid very well, and now they have $1 million to take home whoever is a winner. So it's like a sudden death. So to me, that's the beauty of this thing, is that, hey, Saturday night, one guy will go home really happy, and one guy maybe not as happy as the other guy.
Because of how good the first fight was, is that going to put the pressure on these two guys to sort of deliver in the rematch on Saturday?
Yeah, I think if I'm Rory, I'm going to try to go and, kind of replicate the same game plan, maybe, as far as, doing some things that maybe Douglas, doesn't do as good as Rory. And then if I'm Douglas, I'm going to go out there and try to hit Rory as hard as I can and try to hurt him. And that's what I think. That's the fight that I think you'll see.
Can you talk about the significance of this fight, not just for Bellator, but I mean, you can make the case that the winner here could arguably be the best winner.
I mean, listen, that goes back and forth, but in my mind, it's Roy, Douglas, whoever wins, it's they fought a gauntlet of athletes that I think they deserve to say that if whoever wins this tournament, they could say they're the best in the world, or if somebody feels differently, then they should step up and we should get it on. We'll do it. So it's not up to us, it's up to them. But if they feel they have a better 170 pounder, let's put up the money and let's do it.
Talk about the other the Friday main event and sort of why that fight came together. I mean, was there a feeling amongst you guys that, hey, this is a fight that we want to see again, or did it just make sense for both of these guys where they were at?
I think timing is part of that issue, and I think that it's a fight that, look, both these guys, we all know that's in the, let's say, the fourth quarter, of their careers, and maybe the winner continues, and then whoever loses maybe stays home. And so that's kind of our thought on this, is like they've all had wars, they've all been through it, they've all fought everybody. Proud of both these guys, but it's going to be an interesting fight, and whoever wins, I think, will continue.
Frank seems to think that he can continue deep into his career, like even throughout the number of 70 to me, and I think he was joking, but he was talking about all the different promotions that are out there now, and the bare knuckle thing that's kind of coming on stronger, and the fact that heavyweights just seem to do it a little bit longer. So.
Yeah, that is true. Heavyweights do, because if you have power, you're always going to have power. For the smaller guys, the speed, or the small girls, speed goes away, but the power is always going to be there. So, that's a whole other conversation. We should have another conversation offline about that.
And you mentioned the loser could potentially stay home. Could this be the end of either fighter if they lose?
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying. I always like to watch the fight and see what happens, man. And I always had the belief, if you fight hard and you bring that spirit, that Bushido spirit, that martial arts spirit, and you bring it, right, win or lose, you'll always have a home here, right? So to me, that's going to be what we determine it on. But at some point, there's going to be a point where we have to say goodbye to some of these athletes, and it's just part of the game. And unfortunately, that's a piece of it.
Can you talk about the Nick Newell signing? I mean, he's been doing great so far, and
yeah,
but you guys like to come to Connecticut, and he's pretty popular in those areas.
And I'll tell you what really made me feel good about it was when I got to sit down and meet him one-on-one. And really, it's like the things he was talking about, things that he believed, his martial arts, journey to this point. I really enjoyed it, man. I dug it, and I said, you know what, I'm going to get behind this guy, and let's give him some fights, and let's test this guy. And it's a great story. It's a feel-good story, and he'll fight not just in Connecticut. He'll fight all over the place. For us, I mean, he's got to continue to do his thing and train and work hard. But when I think about his character and his perseverance, his indomitable spirit, his martial arts journey, man. I'm a big fan. So let's see what happens on Saturday.
And this doesn't have to do with this weekend, but I know you guys were on the fence about possibly having a ring or a cage for Bellator Japan. Have you guys made any decision on that?
Yeah, we are going to have a cage in Bellator Japan, and that's another great event. The Rampage fight against Fedor, and we're still putting together the fights that we'll fight against the Ryzen folks. So we're working it out, but I was, part of me feels like, personally, it would be great to fight in a ring. But you know what? Bellator is about the cage. This is our brand. This is the first time we're going to Japan. We need to have it in the cage.
Any Bellator Japan fights you'd want to break in this round?
Not right now. maybe Friday. If you guys come to fights, we'll probably break some news on Friday night.
Ayala versus Minakov was canceled due to visa issues. I know it's probably a long shot, but any chance we get a replacement to face Ayala?
I don't believe so. I think that we're gonna, get him another fight on one of our other shows. And the great news is, look, the next year we're gonna do 30 fights. We have the 15 fights on Paramount, 7 on DAZN, and we'll have 8 European fights next year. So we'll have a place for him for sure. We'll get him busy.
I think we all love the Grand Prix. We all say it was a great success. The negative of Grand Prix is all the contenders are in the division. They kind of knock each other out. That said, I know you don't like to make fights before something happens, but everyone wants to know who's going to face the winner of McDonald versus Lima.
I mean, that's an easy one. I think that Lorenz Larkin is a clear choice after beating Kreshkov the way he did. That was an amazing fight, so much fun to watch, and I think that that's the fight that at some point in the future, because who knows when these two guys will be ready to fight. If Lorenz keeps winning, I think he's got the clear shot to the title.
What about if Rory wins? A lot of people would argue that he didn't beat John Fitch, that John Fitch should get that fight. Is that interesting?
You know what? That's something we'd have to talk to John Fitch about, because I think that, he told me he might be hanging it up and letting it go at that point, and he gave it his all, and I think he proved himself to be, one of those OGs that really, really delivered on that fight. And it was a very close fight, but it's going to be up to him. If he wants to come back and step in, we would consider it at this point.
This is the last fight of Rory's contract. Have there been any discussion about extensions or deals?
I don't. I'm not even sure if that's true or not, or we'd have to sit down and talk. Yeah. Sometimes fighters don't have the right information, by the way, so I'm not sure.
Scott, you're talking about how successful these Grand Prix are. Any chance down the line of women's Grand Prix, just have to decide?
Absolutely. I'm not going to say what it is, but don't be surprised if that's our tournament next year. And I won't even tell you the weight class.
Speaking of women, you went on record to say your new signing, Chris Cyborg's the greatest female fighter of all time. Obviously, there's a lot that would argue that Amanda Nunes, who beat her, is the best. What would you say to those who say that Amanda's
It's not even close. I mean, look, to me, it's like, look at the last 10 years of the body of work of Chris Cyborg. So Amanda, could she be the greatest? Maybe, but talk to me in 10 years from now, right? Talk to me in 8 years from now. I was around when she came around. I was around when Chris Cyborg was. You know what? Let me tell you something. We were on another network at the time, and the president of the network says to me, you know what? We love Chris Cyborg. She's the Mike Tyson of MMA. And this is back in 2009, 10, 11, and that's what she is. And so to me, it's like, look, rewind it. Go look at all those videos, and then come back, and then anybody that has a question can come,
I want to ask you another
Sure.
female. Carrie Melendez, she fights at strawweight. She says she's hoping you guys make a division for any chance we see a strawweight division.
You know what? Listen, Carrie, when we signed her, we said, you're going to fight at 125, and she agreed. And so to me, the first time I heard that she wants to fight at 115 or whatever, it was when she said it on the broadcast. So we've had a couple conversations, but we'll find her fighters to fight that makes sense. And starting a whole division, that's a whole other thing. But having super fights, I love super fights.
One or two more, guys.
So he talks about an atomweight division at one point by media and radio people. I know you had Lindsey Van Zandt at one point on Bellator cards, and he talks about creating an atomweight division where just certain fighters to go on the cards.
Yeah, listen, if we do, you know how we don't mind putting super fights on, one at a time. Like if Carrie, Heather Hardy, right? It's like, we'll put on super fights that make sense, and it's a lot of fun. And if we find something that makes sense, we'll put it together. We don't have any like, we don't have this weight class, we don't have this weight class. To me, I think it's all about the fighters, and you know, if it makes sense, we'll do it.
You made headlines when you said to Kat Zingano, we need to have a conversation. Have you had that conversation yet?
I think we've had a couple conversations, but I'm not sure where it's at, to be honest with you. But you know, hopefully, you know, when we get back to San Jose, we'll revisit it. But you know, we've all been busy, and I'm not sure where that negotiation is at right now.